Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to this part of our presentation at our Quantum Access Conference that we are having here in Phoenix, Arizona. So at this time we're going to start with the Energy Clearing Protocol, which is a safe, non-invasive, non-medicinal form of acupressure that works to eliminate symptoms in the human body as well as animals. My personal journey. I've been a nurse for 22 years. About 16 years ago, I noticed that I was getting very, very sick. I had a flu shot about 11 years ago. Within 12 hours, I was full-blown with a GI and respiratory type flu-like illness in which I suffered for 12 days. I hallucinated and don't really remember much of the entire process. When I recovered from that point, I never truly recovered. I felt better than I had in those 12 days, but I never regained my strength and my ability to live my life the way that I originally had. I became so debilitated that I could no longer function. I was experiencing over 70 symptoms and did so for over 3 years of my life. I would have spells, and I won't go into any graphic details, you can read it all here, but it was very, very brutal. I also suffered severe joint pain, brain fog, and marked fatigue. I would sleep 18 hours a day and wake up and feel as if I had never slept. I was misdiagnosed with everything from perimenopause to Cushing's syndrome, Crohn's colitis, carcinoid cancer, and many other things. I spent a week at Roswell Park in Buffalo for the oncologist to call me on a Saturday morning and tell me that I had no cancer anywhere in my body, but no one could seem to figure out what was wrong with me. My liver was shutting down and my adrenal glands were not working. I had low estrogen and high testosterone, which is not normal for a female. I became a Morgellons monster. When I returned from Roswell, as you can imagine, I was in shock. I had prepared myself for cancer, but now was told it wasn't cancer. I was back at square one. 3 days later, I sat in front of my computer and prayed. I begged my Creator not to let me die. The next day, as I was entering some symptoms into a symptom checker, a page on myalgic encephalomyelitis, also known as chronic fatigue syndrome in the United States, came up as well as a page with information on fibromyalgia. I read the symptom list and determined that I had 90% of each of the list of symptoms. I immediately printed out the list and highlighted the symptoms that I physically had in my body on that page. I took it to my medical doctor. He would not listen to me, and he dismissed me. I in turn fired him and began a new series of visits with a doctor who did all the testing that I needed to have and determined that I in fact did have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, just as I had self-diagnosed myself with when I appeared in that physician's office. The next day, a stranger wrote to me and told me to find a certain form of acupressure. She told me it was the only thing that would save my life. Without any question, I entered it into Google and put my nearest city. I found a chiropractor 20 minutes from my front door who treated me. I live in upstate New York, by the way, no man's land. The odds of a practitioner being that close are slim. I was sent an email with an article about Morgellons, and I knew, as I was going through this treatment. Once again, I had diagnosed myself and knew that this was what was wrong with me. I did not go to an MD with Morgellons information, as I caught on very quickly that the patients were not only being dismissed by the medical community, but some were even being labeled delusional. What I realized in the end is I was massively infected with Morgellons, which I personally believe are nanobiohybrid materials brought to you by the science of nanobiotechnology and your friends underground. And that treatment that I did went through and cleared me of 99.9% of my 70+ symptoms. It did it so thoroughly and gently detoxifying my organs, glands, and systems as I was desensitized to foods that I was sensitive to, along with vitamins, minerals, bacteria, virus, fungus, mold, parasites, worms, mosquitoes, and so much more. I began seeing this practitioner on June 12th. And on a side note, I'd like to mention that June 12th is the day I arrived in Phoenix and prepared for this conference. It is a very significant day in my life on 2 occasions now. By September 24th, 3.5 months later, I was back to work full-time with only small skin lesions on my face. All other symptoms were resolved. After I went back to work, I took a second job, saved all of my pennies. I flew to Dallas, Texas, and I trained to become a practitioner of the same treatment that resolved my symptoms. I began treating my friends and family, and I could see the results. In the same time that I was going through the treatment, I started a Morg board site. From there, we gathered hundreds, sometimes thousands of people telling us their stories, sharing their photos, and wanting to be a part of something. From there, we started Morgellons Research Group. MRG gathered in Oregon, and we did a 5-day conference. What I learned at that Morgellons conference is what I'm here to share with all of you. Fact 1, all matter vibrates. Because all matter vibrates, it releases energy. The energy released from every item that exists can be measured. That energy field is referred to as the item's electromagnetic field or electromagnetic signature. Oftentimes I refer to it as the item's aura. Because of quantum physics, we can now measure the electromagnetic frequency of everything. In essence, we can measure the aura of a tomato, a rock, a piece of metal, a human liver, a vitamin, a virus, etc. Something does not have to be alive or living to have an electromagnetic frequency. A rock, a piece of metal, they all have their own signature, even though they are not living per se. Here we get into spectral signatures, and this is exactly what I've just outlined. Spectral signatures are specific combinations of emitted, reflected, or absorbed electromagnetic radiation, which is natural, and we release it from our bodies. It is also natural in the environment. It is a natural form of electromagnetic radiation, and not to be confused with artificial forms of radiation or harmful forms of radiation. The spectral signature of the stars indicates the composition of the stellar atmosphere. The spectral signature of an object is a function of the incidental EM wavelength and material interaction with that section of the electromagnetic spectrum. What I have learned is that love is the highest frequency on the planet in this electromagnetic spectrum. Fear is the lowest frequency on the planet in this spectrum. Everything that exists on our planet resonates in that spectrum somewhere between love and fear. Muscle testing does not lie. In the 1960s, a chiropractor figured out something he called applied kinesiology. He figured out that if he placed something, let's say a tomato, in someone's hand and tested the strength of their other arm as they push up against the practitioner can determine that person is sensitive to a tomato by the strength or weakness of their arm. There are some pretty smart companies who caught on to this very early in the game. They create a software program with all the EMF measurements. They take a small vial filled with distilled water and a little trace of alcohol, and they upload the electromagnetic frequency of the item, let's say the tomato, and then label the vial tomato. Instead of practitioners having a closet full of groceries to muscle test, they now had neat, tidy little vials. When I went for my first treatment, my practitioner muscle tested me for vials, organs, glands, and systems. All of the vials I tested weak for, he put into a container. The muscle testing told the practitioner which organs, glands, and systems in my specific body that were not working properly. I tested weak for 28 out of 30 vials. I was in rough shape, dying, literally. I held the container as he tapped up and down my spine with the sides of his hands, and then did acupressure around my body. He then sent me home to drink as much water as I could tolerate. I continued treatments, went on to clear me for foods, vitamins, minerals and hormones, my immune system, my inflammation response, bacteria, virus, fungus, mold, parasites, radiations, lighting, electricity, metals, chemicals, and on and on and on. So when I went to Oregon with the amazing people of the MRG group is when I learned that I could write the word on a sheet of paper and muscle test the person for the paper. I got either a strong or weak response of the person's muscle testing. If I tested the same person for the same vial as the word written, I got the same response. If I placed the actual item in the person's hand, I got the same response. If I just thought the word, guess what? Yes, I got the same response. We only use about 10% of our gray matter in our skulls. Our bodies and brains are super quantum computers. We are electromagnetic frequency-based beings. Every part of our body has its own electromagnetic signature or frequency. Liver, stomach, lymph system, etc. And you have your own EMF or your aura as your total combined energy of your body. We all have a certain amount of software or information in our bodies, in our computer, in our data bank. If we are sensitive to something, it means that that word or that frequency is missing from your data bank. If a person has an iron deficiency, it's because iron is not listed in that person's data bank. If the word or frequency is not there, the body doesn't know what to do with it, so it lets it go. You now have iron deficiency. Once you add the word iron to the data bank, the body now recognizes iron and knows what to do with it, holds on to it, and utilizes it properly. Does that make sense? Our brains are quantum computers. We can download the information our bodies need in order for it to work properly. Please begin your clearing schedule, always, first and foremost, with organs, glands, and systems. It is the most crucial clearing that you will do. It is the first one. It is the most intense clearing that you will have. On the second day, you skip a day, you do no clearings, and you continue to drink a lot of water. On the third day, you clear for foods, vitamins, and personal hygiene products. And then you skip another day. After the skipping of the first two clearings, you no longer have to skip a day, and you can clear for one entire PDF each day until you have finished the entire protocol. And again, you continue to drink massive amounts of water. You are flushing toxins from your body. You are also feeding your organs the oil or the water that they need to function. We are 70% water. We lose a lot of water from our bodies on a daily basis, and none of us are very good at replacing it. So we need to make a conscious decision every day to not only feed your stomach the food that you crave, but to feed your vital organs the water that they need, and your blood system the water that it needs to function and keep you healthy and balanced. So at this point I go into doing a little bit of the explanation of the actual clearing protocol. I'm not going to read it all because in a few minutes we're going to get up and demonstrate to you how this is actually done. So here are the acupressure instructions, so you always have them to refer to on this video. You can come back to this video anytime and continue on your journey of healing and clearing and balancing your body and empowering yourself, regaining your strength and your health, and taking your life back. Now you are instructed to drink the water after the clearing. And here's just some more instructional and detailed information, because I know many of you have questions, and probably some of this information here will answer those questions for you. So here we continue with muscle testing does not lie. I continue on a daily basis to be astounded by the Morgellon sufferers. We are the most resilient, kind-hearted, loving people, and have suffered above, beyond, and below what most people cannot even begin to fathom. My grandma used to say to me all the time when I was a child, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I have carried that with me all of my life, and it is the reason I am sitting in this room right now. I have seen this work repeatedly, and I am living proof that this works. So here I've posted a picture of the chakras. We have chakras in our body, and this is related to acupressure oftentimes, and the whole idea is that these electromagnetic frequencies, when they flow through our bodies, they do so in a circle. Each chakra on its own moves in a circle, each one of them. So here you have all of these little circles working down the center of your body, from the top of your head and your crown chakra, straight down through to your root chakra, or opposite how they have it here. And so the root chakra is grounding, stability, physical needs, security, survival, manifestations, and the material world. Your sacral chakra controls your emotions, your relationships, your sexuality, your self-worth, your creativity, and your empathy. Your solar plexus controls your personal power, your will, your energy, your metabolism, your effortness, self-esteem, social identity, and your happiness. Your heart chakra represents love, understanding, trust, hope, openness, compassion, balance, and forgiveness. Your throat chakra is communication, sound, vibration, self-expression, listening, speaking, and writing. Your third eye, which we refer to as your pineal gland, is your psychic abilities, your channeling telepathy, your astral travel, your visions, and your connections to your higher self. Your crown chakra is universal consciousness, all-knowing cosmic connection. This is your God source. This is your enlightenment, and this is your gateway to other dimensions. So each chakra is represented by a color, and the red chakra represents the first, the root, and the base chakra. Just like the core of Mother Earth, it pulses and swells with bright crimson, radiant heart. That red is a clear sign of the visceral, primitive power. It's the sparkling place for big blasts of raw creation. When you see red, consider a sonic boom of powerful action propelling you forward. Consider this the spark of action. Make this hot, red heat the seed of your physical, spiritual, emotional birth. This is the hot coal of your perception, and it is a great fuel maker for whatever you want to start cooking. Your sacral chakra is represented by orange. Orange is the second sacral chakra. We have a nice glow on from here. From the pow of our red roots, we move into a more sophisticated stage of creativity. This is our moment to sculpt our rawness and refine ourselves into illumined orbs of creative beauty. In silky waves of orange, we become aware of our physicalness, and we begin to make prime connections about the magnificence of our bodies. Orange speaks to us about exploration. New additives are mixed with raw matter, and this is where we conjugate. Here we embrace polarities, consume them, and learn the choreography in the dance of unity. Solar plexus is represented by yellow. Moving out of the prime center of raw matter, having joined with polarity, we now come into a seat of personal power and awareness. Yellow is the dawning of a new perception. As the sun is the center of our galaxy, the third chakra is golden, energetic orb of centralized force. It can feed us, sustain us, teach us, and magnify our already magnificent, intense ancillary energies. Yellow is the beacon held under a magnifying glass. What we submit for contemplation is amplified by the solar plexus chakra. This is because we have entered the dawn of specialized perception. When yellow gently strokes its fingertips across your awareness, it's prompting focus. Focus into the core of your inner being, inner intelligence. This yellowy core asks us to honor the fullness of who we are. The heart is represented by green. The chakras color meanings of the heart speak to us about the fresh new growth, the promise of new hope brings, the eternal nature of love and the ability to share that love for the common good. As mentioned earlier, the viridian heart chakra is the fulcrum. Base matter filters through it, as does gossamer intangibles. Gossamer intangibles. The heart is the dispatcher of the information, all kinds of information. From physical, emotional, and intellectual, the heart serves as the hub and interconnects with the matrix of existence. When green glows in your thoughts, it's a cue to get back in step with the breathing rhythm of the pulse of all life. Place your awareness upon your neurological and vascular networks. Then translate these networks into external, like internet pathways, road grids, and relationships. No difference, really. The heart asks us to take pulmonary awareness to broader, accepting, loving levels. The throat chakra is represented by the color blue. Continuing the epic adventure through the chakras, we've moved through the filtering train station of the heart, and now we're asked to take what we learned on a pulmonary level and express it into our surroundings. We've dreamed the dream of creation, now we are on the path to expressing that dream outwardly. Swimming in these beautiful blue seas, we find new connections and discover true joy is in sharing and communicating our discoveries. When blue hues fill our vision, it indicates our willingness to see solutions in everything. Our resources are made known, our expressions are clarified like crystals, and we convey ourselves with a mix of playfulness and natural authority. Indigo represents the color of the third eye, your pineal gland chakra. We know more fully all the depth of chakra connectivity. In indigo pools of depth and contemplation, we see more clearly how energy runs together. Indigo is an oceanic orifice, always present, just waiting for us to dive in to discover the behavior and rhythms of energy itself. When we swim around its ripples, we see all the energy is interrelated, each nuance a partner, each ringlet interlinking depth and texture to the story of our existence. When we see the indigo vision, we don our X-ray glasses to peer past the veil of illusion. This is what we are here to do this weekend. This is what we are here to do on Earth. This is why we exist. We are here to lift the veil of illusion that has been held over mankind for countless centuries. Our crown chakra is represented by the color violet. like the first violet crocus opening up to the new light of spring, our awareness pulls itself up out of the strata of matter, layers of time, and levels of perception. No experience can compare or relate to this one. We recognize with surreal objectivity that our outward spanning and unfolding petals of consciousness is not an achievement. Rather, the unfolding has been happening all along. It is as if a grand, orchestrated momentum of expanding energy has been surging in our conscious background all the time. It is only when we hopped over a few fences of reality that we had access to this surging growth all the time. Violet is the culmination of our time, place, and being. In this luscious lotus of life, we realize our progress is not hammered, merely channeled. Indeed, Violet asks us to just to simply be, because we have always been, and our expansion is inevitable.
So now you're going to do the clearing? Are you going to show the
Yeah,
clearing?
you can stop it though and get ready to set up.